Thank you all for joining. It's time for another exciting lightning talk. I'm Parag Katkar, your host for tonight. I'm a managing director here at Enrhythm, and we have a lot of exciting content lined up for you in the upcoming weeks. Our lightning talks are hosted every Thursday at 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And each week, one of our practice area consultants speaks on the latest and greatest technology trends in the industry that will help you keep learning and growing in your career. So this week, Ted Parton, who is an experienced senior engineer with us, is going to give us a quick introduction of Java records. Java record is a new way to declare a type in the Java language, and records were introduced in the Java language to reduce the boilerplate associated with POJOs. So without further ado, let's get it started, Ted.
All right, thank you, Parag. So yes, we're going to do an introduction to Java records, and this actually, when I first got into it, I thought, oh, these are going to be kind of complicated, but it's actually very, very simple, very easy. And I think I know I, for one, would really start using these, and I hope a lot of other people do too. So anyways, in this lightning talk, I really have three goals for it today. So the first is to explain what Java records are. Next is to describe the benefits of using the Java records. And lastly, to demonstrate how easy it is to get started with these Java records. So let's talk about what Java records are not. First off, it's not a music record featuring coffee. I'm really sorry, Maxwell House, even though I found this great artwork here. But it's not that. It's not benchmarking your Java. They're not hard to implement. And they're only available, or they're not available before Java 14. So in Java 14, the concept of the Java record was introduced, but it was finalized later in version 16. So what are Java records? So they're a new type of special class, kind of like an enum would be a special class. So they're designed to really simplify the creation of your data transformation objects, or DTOs as we call them sometimes. And as Parag said earlier, it really helps reduce a lot of the boilerplate code that we oftentimes put in place, like getters, setters, toStrings, hash codes, that sort of thing. So anyways, these are very, very easy to implement. And I think in reality, they were responding to things like Lombok and other trends that the community was putting forth. So what are some of the benefits of using Java records? So a Java record provides a canonical constructor, immutable fields, a getter for each element, an equals method, a hash code method, and a toString method. So this really benefits you by reducing the amount of chance that you can make an error while you're going in and writing the code. Now, things like getters and setters, if you wanted, you could have your IDE oftentimes generate that for you. For instance, if you're using IntelliJ or Eclipse. But things like your toString, your hash code, you could fat finger that and have a little problem. So now we'll say on the flip side of that, a traditional DTO, you might have a builder pattern where Java record wouldn't necessarily have a builder pattern, at least not with the base implementation. So let's look at some examples. So first off, I'm going to show you an automobile DTO I put together, and this really isn't the complete thing. I hope you guys can see it okay, but it's really kind of small. I'm showing about 38 lines of code there, but it actually has, in total, this particular one has 75 lines, and that actually does not even include an equals method or a hash codes method. But what it does have is declaring things like brand and model and things like that as privates, so that they would generally be immutable. And then I've got some getters, and I think probably even a setter or two. And then I did actually build a toString. You can't quite see it here on this sample piece here. And unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, I can't show you the source code right now. I had to switch computers. But needless to say, I went in and I tried to make this DTO, which is just a plain old Java object. I tried to make it very similar to what a record would generate for me. Okay, so we saw this is 75 lines of code, right? Now let's look at what it is as a Java record. This is it. This is less than 11 lines of code. In fact, I even included something I really didn't have to for this, to implement serializable, and that could have reduced the code just a little bit more. So without putting anything at all into this declaration of the class, other than to say, hey, this is a public record of automobile, and I told it some things like, I'm going to have a brand, and that's an enum, my model as a string, my model year, and my colors, which this ends up being my constructor. So this is all put in here, and I get all those things I told you about earlier: the hash code function, the getter methods, the equals method. And just think about what a savings in time and coding that is. So I also just want to show you that then using them becomes really just like using a traditional DTO. What I've done here is I've created a couple maps. So a couple of methods. One, it does get Tesla models, and one it says get Nissan models. So, and I'll back up here for a minute and say, for those of you who don't know me, I have owned both a Nissan Leaf in the past and a Tesla Model 3. And I'm a big electric car fan. So I'm actually building a simple, well, maybe simple program that helps me track how much electricity I've used per month, and along with mileage for the car. But I thought I would expand it and make it available to other owners too. So I thought, hey, we'll describe automobiles here. So in this first one here, in the get Tesla models, I'm doing a map of string as being the kind of car model and the automobile record. And I'll put this in here. And again, unfortunately, I don't have a good screenshot of the method itself, but basically, well, I don't have to, right? It was the record in this case. Here I'm saying automobile record, and I say the brand, in which I have an enum there for Tesla, right? The model, the year, and the color. So that just put all of them into an automobile record, and it associated it with my string as my key for my map, right? And I would use that just like I would expect. And then I did the same thing down here with the get Nissan models, only I used that automobile DTO I did, the one that was using a plain old Java object. So as you can see, actually my constructor works just the same. The constructor I put in the DTO was the exact same setup. So again, we have the brand, we have the model year, and the color. And then and again, I apologize, I don't have an output of this, but whenever I'd go to write those out, when you write that out with the record, you can just do a system print or system out print line, and it will automatically do the toString, which again, you get for free with using the Java record. And it has a nice little formatted piece that comes out. Whereas on the automobile DTO I show you here, I had to actually go in and override the custom toString, and then I used like JSON to format the object, and then I had to spit that out. So a little bit more effort on my part. And anyways, this is just how simple it is to use. So if you want to get to where you're learning more about this, I would suggest you use some of these useful links, which I can share with anybody. If you want, you can hit me up. And that is there's an article in Java Records by Bruce Eckel. It's a very good article. It's out there on Oracle's website. I mean, really, it answers most every question you have. Then there's a really good one here on using Java Records with JPA. Well, actually, two articles here. One is with Hibernate and JPA, and the other one's with the JOOQ. And I'd really recommend everybody check them out, especially if you're doing much Java coding. Now, I do know a lot of our clients are still not up to Java 16 or newer, and so this could be a little bit of a problem. But this could be also something, a reason we suggest to them that they go to this is just think of all the time you save when putting together these DTOs. And so, these come in, I've used them a lot personally in things like when you have a API endpoint and the inbound data. So we might declare a contract that says, this is what this DTO is, what the inbound request is. And then later we'll take that request and convert it into our database, right? And the same thing for the outbound. So again, this really helps you out with that quite a bit. That's all I've got today. This is really what I call a real lightning chat here, right? It's just super fast, really quick. But I'll open it up to questions if anybody has any.